Got a lot of these birches around the yard. They're absolutely beautiful, and they are very expensive. If I go to the nursery to get some. So I've lost actually a couple of them around the yard. Lost one there, and I've got one actually propped up over here because part of the base is rotted from ants. So I want to get some new propagations going. And many moons ago, when my father was still alive, he had taught me how to do propagating of boxwood plants from clippings, and it stuck with me all these years, probably damn near 30 years, and I pretty much remember the process. But I'm going to put my own little spin on it, something that my mother-in-law taught me. So I've got a whole bunch of these little clippings, offshoots, and I'm going to make clippings out of them. So let me go ahead and get started here. We're just going to do a rough cut first. Okay. Now, I don't know if these plants growing out of the ground are a birch or if they are this variety of birch. So I am not going to use those. I'm only going to use things that are growing out of the birch itself. And I've got a lot of these green growths here that I'm going to use. The younger the sapling, the better the luck is going to be, that my father used to explain. So we're going to try a couple of these. Let's see here. So there's another one right here we're going to go ahead and grab. All right. All right. So let's go back up to the bench and take a look at this. All right, so I'm back at my bench here, and what you can see is I've got a couple of things. I've got the clippings that we just did. I've got some potatoes. I've got some take root I just got at the local home center. I've got a little container of water for dipping the cuttings into. Got a little screwdriver or just a little pokey device to create a hole in the potato. We already used our clippers. Got a razor blade just in case I need to clean up any edges, and also a pair of scissors because the clippers don't work on really soft stuff. So, oh, and then the last thing I've got is a bucket of, this is shrub and plant soil. It's got a lot of fertilizer and it's just real good stuff. You could probably use, my father used to use sand, damp sand. That worked pretty good for the boxwoods. I don't have any sand, so I have this mix, so I'm going to try that. So as an experiment, I actually tried one of these, this here is a clipping that I just did, but I actually tried this without the root tone on a larger branch from a tree that we had to cut down, and it was actually starting to get a root to it. But it's they say the harder the wood, like this here is obviously a lot harder of a piece of birch. They say that the harder it is, the harder it's going to be to get it to root on its own. But if you look here, we've got some branches that are a little bit more on the green side. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to use those for our best attempt. So I'm going to just start by cutting. And then how about we use a couple of these harder wood ones as a sample to see if they actually will grow or not. Okay. And we're going to make a lot of samples because number one, it doesn't cost us anything. Number two, we have a better chance of being successful. Okay, so again here I've got a branch. These here are pretty good already. These ones I think we'll have a real good chance with. Just cleaning up the ends. Now, one thing I don't remember my father teaching me was if you have to cut them at an angle, or if you cut them straight. So that'll be a little bit of a guessing game for us. All right, so now I'm going to just make some room by taking these buckets off. Bring those back here in a little bit. All right, so I've got my clippings here. Let's go ahead and lay them out. All right, so I've got all my, excuse me, my green ones over here. I've got all my, what I'll consider hardwood ones over here. Okay. Now, I'm just going to take one of these, and I only need a couple of leaves. Okay. That's probably okay. Doesn't need, they don't need a lot. But now, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do that to all these off camera. Why don't we do one more on camera? Okay, I think you guys get the point, so we'll just leave it like that. We only need a couple at the top. So let me go ahead and do that off camera, and we'll be right back. All right. Excuse me. I've got all my green pieces here, and I've got all my hardwood pieces over here. One thing you want to know with the green is that they've got to be strong enough that when we put them into our potatoes, that they stay standing straight up. If they start to droop, then we might have to put a support in there to just hold them so that until they become firm. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to start prepping the potatoes. And all I'm going to do, so I'm just going to take a potato, and I'm going to use this part here. I'll be poking in this way. So I'm going to just go ahead, I'm going to put like 3 sprouts per potato. Now what the potato is doing is it's just providing some moisture for the roots to start. So I'm just going to do one on camera, and then we'll take it from there. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just use my take root. Open that up, set that down, and then let me do the hardwood ones first. All I'm going to do, dip it in some water, then dip it in the take root. All right. Tap the excess take root, excuse me. And then we're just going to push it into the hole. And that's it. Okay. Do that again. Take root. Find the hole we made. Poke it in. This take root stuff works really, really well. From what I remember being a kid and doing this. Okay. So there's 3 that we have set up. Now, do I know if we're going to get all 3 of them out of it? That I don't know. But I'd rather put a couple of them in there to start with. So let's try that again. Let's do that on a softer piece again. Again, I'm going to take my potato, poke some holes, take a couple of my green stems this time. Sorry about the noise in the background. The dogs decided to take some of the clippings and they are now chewing on them. These ones might be a little bit more difficult, but we'll see what we can do. They aren't quite as stiff. Oops, yeah. Bent that one right over, so let's try that again. Okay. And just for the heck of it, we'll try these real small ones here. Let's run the potato the other way. Okay, so now let's go ahead and get this stuff out of the way. Grab a bucket. Reposition you guys so you can see it a little better. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just plant these a little bit. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring them up a little bit. You guys can see it a little bit better. So you could use potting soil, you could use vermiculite. Okay. And I'm just going to leave just a little bit of potato showing. Now, what will happen is the potato is going to provide moisture, and trees can start growing the roots. And then once they start taking root, they can actually push themselves out of the potato. Let's see. Yeah, I think I want a little bit more soil in here still. I want these plants as high up as they possibly can go. me go get some more soil and I'll be right back. Okay, let's try that again. I feel much better with this. I probably wouldn't need this pail near this is a 5-gallon pail. I probably wouldn't need to be using a 5-gallon pail. Something shallower would be probably just fine. So we're gonna do those ones just a little different. Okay. Then last step, just take your rooting water that you were just using, just wet them. All right, so we are, it's today June 17th, I think. This is kind of the ideal time from what I remember, from what my dad had taught me. So you want May, June, July is kind of pushing it, but if you're doing this in a greenhouse, really doesn't matter as long as it's new growth. You know, that's the key. New growth is going to be a lot easier for you. So I'm going to set these up in a sunny but shady area, so it doesn't get full sun. I don't want to cook these. I want to kind of mimic the environment that they were in, which they were in a more or less kind of shaded area. So we're going to put them in that kind of area, monitor them for the next couple of days. If we start noticing that the petals are starting to weep, then we know that, sorry about the shakiness, we know that they might not be taking, but we'll keep an eye on them over the next couple of days, and then I'll bring you a progress report back. Alright guys, if you like this type of stuff, don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. Until next time.